So, welcome to my first art video as I attempt to do something a little bit creative with things that are going on right now. And my intent of doing these videos is to give you an update on how I do my art, but also I thought it would be fun to do something a little different. One of my inspirations for doing art, of course, is Bob Ross. I grew up watching some of his videos, and I don't find the way I speak or what I do to be nearly as relaxing as him, but here we are. So I thought these would be nice videos to do just as a break from the norm, and this will be on my personal YouTube account as opposed to anything with the churches or anything like that. So I thought it would be better to show you a rough how things work from the get-go as opposed to what I see art videos doing, which they jump into painting or whatever they're doing right away. And I'm not that good. I have had to struggle and had to learn, and so what you see me doing right now is a very rough sketch, and this is just for placement of how I want to do this particular art piece. The small sketch I'm doing right here is of Hagia Sophia, which is in Istanbul in Turkey. This picture was taken when I was on the seminary cross-cultural trip many years ago. And the photo reference I'm using, which you'll see a glance of every once in a while, I'm holding it in my hand in the bottom left, is not a very good one. The camera I had on this trip was horrendous. Thankfully, some of the other classmates, they have better pictures. But what you're really observing here is that I'm doing a very rough sketch. When it comes time to do the real sketch that I'm going to paint off of, and that'll be another video, I will measure things out and actually use a ruler. So if you've noticed, so as you can tell, I'm erasing things, getting things approximately where I want. And if anything in this video, I will put that picture up. You'll notice how different it looks from what I sketch out. When I initially drew this box, you saw I made 3 little marks. And one thing I've had to learn and remind myself is that our artwork is only, a page is seen in 3 parts. So 1/3 sections. And you don't want to place your horizon in the middle. Hardly ever. Sometimes you do, but very rarely do you want to do that. It's not enough visual interest to just bisect your paper. So you try to place either more ground or more sky depending on what's going on. And my reference photo for this, I am literally shifting everything to the right-hand side of the photo and focusing in. As you can tell, it's a very rough sketch. I'm just getting the placement down. In fact, here in a moment, you'll notice that I do the bushes and things of that nature, and I sketch them in the most horrendous way possible because for the reference photo, it's actually taking up much of the area. So I didn't want them to be the focal point. So this sketch, this rough sketch that I'm doing, is just to give me an idea of where the placement goes. The next thing, the next stage after this whole sketching process will be for me to do a rough sketch on a piece of watercolor paper, and in that I will go ahead and just kind of do a value study is what it's called, where I'm playing with my shadows and seeing what my shadows look like. Now, as you can tell, you like that really good bush right there, right in front of the building. That is a square. Well, it's not a square in the picture, but it's a square for this purpose. Now, at this point in this sketch, I'm starting to think, am I not showing the building enough? I have part of Hagia Sophia, and I have two of the minarets, which are those prayer towers on the side. And the building complex itself, from what I remember, was far more stretched out than it would seem. So past that far right minaret underneath my hand right now is another domed building. There were multiple domed buildings right around. And then palm fronds that go up over that, which I've never painted palm fronds before. So this is going to be a new process of my own. But the whole time I'm starting to think right here, maybe I have just a little bit too much of the far right side and not enough of the building. What tells you that it's what tells you that it's Hagia Sophia, besides me saying it or typing it in? And so what you kind of see on the paper there is that line I put in is where this building is, how I've kind of delineated it already. And I'm starting to think maybe it should be a little different. Part of the reason for doing these videos, and I don't know how long they're going to be or what I'm going to accomplish, but I want to give an outlet right now for others during this pandemic. And I'm a pastor, so I'm always putting up a weekly video right now as far as how the church is doing and putting out weekly lessons. But I'll be honest, they're not always really focused on how we are doing as individuals. And my art is a way for me to process things. And I'm hoping by doing these videos I get to share that with you, that I am processing the stress from the week, and I'm processing how I feel about things as I'm doing the videos. Now, because I'm recording these videos for this artwork right now, it's a little different because I'm engaging the creative process in doing these videos and in what I want to say to you. This is all my personal reflection. This has nothing to do with the church, so I'm not speaking out as a pastor or anything of that nature. It's just how I cope with the stress I feel in my own life. Now, as you could tell with this sketch right now, I flipped it over because I realized, wait a minute, I'm not showing enough of the building. And you notice I changed the orientation of the page, and now I'm taking up the whole page. Every once in a while I have to remind myself, an artist, or when you're doing art, you're not limited to what's in front of you. So while this sketch is going to be far bigger than the artwork itself, sometimes we have to reorient ourselves and to be able to see something different. We just got to do it and see what happens. And that is partly what's going on right here. I am in the process of just experiencing this differently. Now, as I told you, when we come to the next part, I'll probably be sketching this in far more detail. And that's part of the process that I would like to engage in, but and I'll speak on why I do watercolor when we get to the watercolor portion. But as a mode for working out stress in my own life, I'm not a paid professional artist, although, hey, I've actually had people buy my art, so that feels pretty daggone good as an affirmation for the artwork that I do. But everything I've done is a matter of trial and error. And right now, with everything, with all the stresses going on in our lives and everything like that, I feel a lot of what I'm doing in my life is trial and error right now. These videos are a great example because, again, where I've been able to find a happy medium in my work-related videos, These I'm creating, so this first video, the camera may not be in the right place. This is the first time I'm doing a voiceover, and I don't know how that's going to work or how that's really going to sound. I think I am going to place the camera somewhere differently, and I'm not too entirely thrilled with the lighting, but this is part of the creative process, and it also gives, for me, an outlet for how to deal with different issues that are going on and things that I might be experiencing. I do want to note here with this sketch, something I've been working on and trying to learn is to hold my pencil more loosely. I'm a little bit more choked up on the end of that pencil than I should be. I should be using my arm, not my wrist as much. But in all honesty, I was trying to pay attention to where and hope that the video was going well, because I can't see my computer screen while I do this to know what's going on. But this is part of the process. This is part of the process of doing art that I don't see represented in the art videos that I watch. You know, I'm constantly reminded that we are works in progress. You know, I can't talk about these things without talking about some of my own personal reflections on those processes in our lives. But, you know, I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. And for those of you that know Katie, my wife, you know, she would probably say thank God for that. But I also say thank God for that. You know, I've matured in different ways. I still have some of the same pitfalls that I fall into. But, you know, art helps me to talk about those things and show those things. Now, some of the things I haven't talked about yet in this video is the sketchbook that I'm using is a Strathmore. I believe it's a 300 series, so it's not the highest quality paper. But as you can tell, I am not a sketch artist. I do my best, and if I'm really trying hard, I can shade well and do all those things. But I'm not that type. Now, the pencil that I'm using is I believe a 4B lead. It's a very, very soft lead. So I'm not pressing the paper very hard. You can tell I'm getting these nice bold lines down without pressing the paper. When it comes time to do the watercolor, I will still use the 4B. I've been trying to let myself use a softer lead. The water will actually pick it up quite often and kind of take it off, or I'll just use the kneaded eraser and bring up some of that lead so it's not quite as dark. For me, it's part of the process of being that loose type of sketch that helps me to make this process happen. And here I've kind of reached the end. I feel more comfortable with that particular sketch than I do the first one. So there's the first sketch on the left and the second sketch on the right. And I think I'm going to do this one. Hence the star. We'll see how it goes next time. Remember, folks, be happy, healthy, and safe as we continue to go through this pandemic together.